everybody. I am here with my friend Ian Lewis. He is the owner-operator of Little Scholars Early Learning Center.
That's right.
And he's going to share his hashtag IBB Top 3
Trilogy.
Ooh. And we're going to dive into part 1 of 3, so make sure you dive in with us and also come back for the remaining, and you're going to have a bonus video.
Might have a little bonus.
Little bonus video for you as well, so I'm excited. So let's start with...
Sure. So, James, thanks for having me. We talk about 3 keys to success, and let me start by saying, I run childcare centers, and that's turned into a passion of mine, not necessarily from the beginning, but what I learned everything from is United States Marine Corps. I'm a veteran.
Thank you for your service.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, everyone out there that served. That's, literally the ultimate.
Yeah, right.
Hey, I'm gonna just sign up and so everybody can complain.
Right.
I'll go defend our country.
Right.
So,
that was fun. So I spent ages 17 to 22 in the Marine Corps, and that is literally where I learned how to become an adult. And so a lot of what I do today reflects back on those lessons that I learned. So in the Marine Corps, there's what they call the 11 leadership principles, and I'm going to pick 3 of them to tell you guys about, and I use these every single day in all aspects of life, not only business.
You learned them, but also you practice them.
Yes.
You took the textbook and made it real life.
Sure.
Cool.
So number 1, this is my favorite one, and it's the principle is know yourself and seek self-improvement. Really what that comes down to, how I interpret it is what is your special talent?
Okay.
For me, it's building people and trying to get the best out of people. That's what I think that I am very good at doing. And so I could apply that to childcare. I could apply that to anything, any kind of aspect of my life, and I try to do that. So what that really means is know who you are and then try and improve upon that, right? And so again, what's your special talent? What can you do? How do you get the most out of, squeeze the juice out of that as much as you can? Because if that's what you're good at, capitalize on it.
Yeah, and two, like you talking about, it can be used in anything, but I think what's really cool is talking about like compounding effects of your talents or the improvements that you make. Like you're literally building. I mean, like you have the whole building's filled with, kids just literally they're building as in that moment. But that's what's cool is you're like building them, the people around.
It's layers,
them.
right?
Oh, yeah.
I have 3 directors that work directly for me that I work with every single day.
Yeah.
And I actually really work for them is how it ends up working. And then there's 42 other teachers that work for all these families that we serve. We have 250 kids, give or take.
It's a lot.
And that's a lot of responsibility, right? And so
I'm only responsible for one, and it's intimidating.
So that's like the first thing that I instill on my leaders is know yourself and seek self-improvement. So if I have a teacher that's really good at doing lesson plans and keeping it all organized, but then gets really, really frustrated, so let's pair her up with an assistant who is super, super patient.
Yes.
And that way the classroom's organized, they can feed off each other. Again, it's all about knowing yourself and seeking self-improvement.
Know thyself.
Right, exactly.
So when you're talking about seeking self, do you feel that a lot of times you're talking about know yourself, know thyself, do you feel that people usually overestimate their talents? Or how would you, if someone's like, okay, I want to make sure I know myself and I'm going to start beginning self-improvement. So is there anything you would recommend when someone's like looking in the mirror and say, what am I good at?
Yeah, be honest.
Be honest. So
that leads me to my second point of it is outsourcing. I learned very quickly that I am not a numbers guy. Right?
Gotcha.
And so
I'm with you.
Childcare is great and I love working with people every single day.
Correct.
But when it comes to numbers,
correct.
I could do it. I could force myself to learn it, and I've tried. So seek self-improvement.
Yes.
I've done classes, and I've tried to teach myself and everything else. But at the end of the day, my talent is better served by doing what I do best,
Correct.
managing people and getting the most out of people.
Yes.
And then I can outsource what I'm not the best
Correct.
at, right? And so
Correct.
you still have to have an idea, so you still want to improve yourself.
Yes.
But if you can know exactly what your strengths are, what your limitations are, you can outsource your limitations. And a lot of times that's going to be, if you're a numbers guy, that's going to be
Right.
a lot more ROI positive
Yes.
than trying to do it all on
That's
your
return
own.
on investment.
Oh,
So that's
Doing
Sorry,
that.
I geeked out.
No, it's good. That's good. You're excited that you knew
Yes,
one of those.
I know something. Yes. Yeah.
So those two things, right? So what's your special talent? What are you going to outsource? And then the key that brings it all together is really finding that balance.
Yes.
I look, you can apply that to anything, right? So we talk about kids. I know that I can be really patient with my own kids.
Mhm.
I don't know how I guess I've learned that. You learned that as a dad,
Yes.
though, right?
Yes.
But when it comes to the actual teaching part of it, and this is funny because of what I do, but I think because I'm around it so much, my wife really takes care of the stuff that she wants, the social skills and everything
Yep.
else that
Yep.
we're building upon it at
Yep.
our schools, and then at home, it takes there's a whole nother side of it, right? And
Yes.
so,
Yes.
but my wife kind of takes that on because I'm not as patient when it comes to that stuff. Now, when
Right.
it comes to all the other discipline and
Yeah.
and keeping on a schedule and stuff like that, like I try and do that because that's what I'm good at. But again, it just shows you that you can take this principle and apply it to anything.
Correct. And I know for me, I would call it like the Erica effect. It's
Mhm.
like, again, talking about, it's not so much like outsourcing. It's technically, I guess we out with being married, that
Mhm.
outsource some of
Sure.
the things that maybe we're not so good at, and that's you're a team, you're
Mhm.
a good partnership. But like James meets Erica, and then my business and just my life in general was like
Sure.
skyrocketed.
Yep.
But also in that same kind of time period, I started going to like these CEO dinners that the Cleveland 2030 Club would do, and I really started realizing that I don't have forever to become the CEO of what of my
Sure.
life or whatever you want to call it. But so like I feel like that is when you're focusing on self-improving, like there's so much that you and I walk into a situation that if we had just relied simply on our talents, or we simply relied on outsourcing everything without that I feel like that self-improvement gets neglected so much because, okay, I'm not good at it, I'm gonna outsource it, okay,
The key
but
is
you
finding
still
the
you still
balance.
wanna like because
Right.
there's a lot of things now that I'm really good at,
Mm-hmm.
but it's because I found again I liked it. I was something
And-
that was just more. I got more excited about being, a businessman. Like
Mhm.
and like being the like I want to be have the brain of a Fortune 500 CEO.
Sure.
And if I ever am a Fortune 500 CEO, like I probably would want probably wouldn't want that
Yeah.
to my
I don't
responsibility and
know.
all that stuff. Just but at least to be able to walk into any and as you as a Marine walk into any scenario
Right.
ready to win, ready,
Sure.
so like, knowing yourself, super important, delegating or outsourcing
Mhm.
what you're not good at, but the self-improvement, you try to like say, hey, once a year I'll work on something I'm not necessarily good at, but need to be in tune with, like, how do you balance like the 80-20 rule where you
Sure.
should spend 80% of your time on what you're really good at.
Right,
and,
right.
So do you kind of
So
have...
again, I'm not a
yeah.
numbers guy, so I
Okay,
don't
all
love the 80-20 rule.
It sucks. That's good. But,
Well, no, so that's a really great question, though, because I've tried forcing myself.
mhm.
And at least what works for me is I run into situations every single day where I don't know what the answer is. Or
Gonna go with
I'm
the
not
maybe,
sure,
yeah.
right, I'm not sure what the best course of action is. And, part of Marine Corps leadership and then part of just the day-to-day of owning a business is you learn to make quick decisions, right?
Yes, you have to.
And then the cool thing is that you get to reflect on it because you're gonna get a chance to either do something better or make adjustments or however you see it. So what I like to do is if I run into a situation, whether it's with an employee or it's with one of our families or you know, it's with a vendor that we use, you know, it could be any of those things. I'll take a look at it and say, you know, I give myself a little cool down period after it's over, that I'm not like upset or something like that. And then I say, okay, what just happened? What can we do about it? Who do I have, you know, on my, what's in my tool bag that I can do, whether it's a person or it's a piece of technology or it's, maybe it's just me learning. And so, so I'm trying to think of a really good example, but you know, a lot of times I'll go back and I use everyone's favorite tool, Google, and I'll say, okay, like this situation, what happened? And I'll start, I get lost in YouTube videos or whatever, and I really
YouTube
like
has
to.
everything.
I love to learn from people.
Yes.
I was not very good at school.
I suck at reading. Like I
can't
have to
read.
do audio. Like I'll play through audiobooks, but like don't ask me.
Yeah,
to
I
read
can't. I don't retain anything.
Yes.
But I can listen to somebody talk, and that makes a ton of sense. I could totally apply that in this situation. And then it's just, okay, do I remember that then? And the more you do it, and usually you kind of talked about sparking interest, and I think that, you know, if you're in this life, entrepreneurship, you know, owning, you know, kind of being the boss of your own world, that curiosity will oftentimes lead to teaching yourself or seeking self-improvement, maybe without you even knowing it. But when you know it and you're like self-aware with it, I think that's when it comes full circle. And I've really worked on that in the past, I'd say year and a half, 2 years, is being self-aware about, number one, knowing myself, and then how I'm going to seek self-improvement and what do I do about it from there.
Cool. Awesome. Very cool. I'm like let's go watch YouTube now. Let's go self-improve.
No, it's fun.
Ian, anything else to add to that?
You know what? I'll just do a little teaser because my next my next tip for success is almost identical to what we just talked about, but in a managerial or leadership capacity, and I think it could be more important than the first one.
Oh my goodness. So that was sweet.
Hey,
love the little
teaser.
Appreciate it. That teaser is perfect. So alright, well make sure you come back and you check out parts 2 and 3 and the bonus video. So this is just progressively gonna get
we're just gonna keep going.
So awesome and more important, and you ain't seen nothing yet basically.
That's right.
So well thank you for joining us here. We appreciate it. And until next time,
stay burn proof.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.